Originally, I got into comedy, moved back to Pueblo, Colorado, taking care of my mom and my pops. My dad's kind of really old and not able to move around a lot. Moved here from New Orleans, and when I did, I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I was also coming out of a very horrific relationship. Through that, I was like, I should probably figure out what the fuck I'm doing wrong, within all this. And there was really only one, like, you know how people turn to music for, like, when you're, like, all down and you turn to music? I just kind of felt like I'd fucking heard it all before with the music thing. The only solace I could really find was in comedy. And there was one comedian that I had real, like... I don't know, man. Everything he said was just I felt a lot. And that was Patrice O'Neal. And he, by the time I ended up getting into his comedy, he had died already of diabetes right after the roast of Charlie Sheen. I had just started listening to him just maybe like a month before that roast. And then he died like a month after that roast. Wow. And then that's when he was like receiving his highest fame, even though he'd been a comedian for 20 years. But just the way he attacked everything, through intelligence, through a difference of opinion, through social commentary, he would give you this view of life that was so unlike anyone else's, that made so much damn sense that it almost was like sexy, just seeing how intelligent it was. Because that type of shit to me, like, I love playing chess, I love to read. Any type of like games or shit like that, like I don't know, whodunit math or fucking murder mysteries and shit like that. I love that shit, but it takes intelligence to do that, and I started to learn how much intelligence it takes to write a joke. So just to write a joke, as both you could probably attest, fucking sucks. It takes a lot of not only thinking, it just aimlessly hoping that the words that you write down are going to work, but then you have to learn out the second half of it, which is on stage, which means you have to suck at it first to learn if it's going to learn what makes it work right. Within all of that takes a lot of intelligence, and it's really hard to do. So that key aspect is what brought me to it, to comedy in general, and then being able to relate, man. And then once I'd always been a performer. I've been in acting and stuff like that. However, I don't know, man. When you write your own words and then you get up on stage and you actually get a response that isn't like, hey, get the fuck off the stage. You're like, oh, shit, this is awesome. And I still love doing it every day. You can list the greats, you can go down and Richard Pryor's number 2, mm-hmm. George Carlin's there. Bill Cosby, even amidst all of his shit, was an amazing storyteller. Like when you go towards the women of comedy as well, Phyllis Diller was the shit. Joan Rivers, who passed away, was the shit. And comedy-wise, all right, so the ultimate comedy now, I guess, as a comedian, so you watch comedy and you're like, I love comedy. Everyone will say that. I love comedy. Mm-hmm. And you study it. People will listen to it all like, oh, I remember that. When you start getting into it, and start trying to find out the technical details of it. Right now, if you go back about, we'll say 15, 20 years, right? There was a group of 10 dudes and maybe one chick, like comedians all in the Boston scene. And these comedians, brash, each of them had their own voice. They started coming up, and Colin Quinn in the mid to late 90s had started to recognize some of this talent. When he did Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn, he used a majority of this talent on his show, which only lasted 2 seasons because it was apparently 20 years ahead of its time. Because the comedians that were on this show, Kevin Hart, Bill Burr, Patrice O'Neal, Dane Cook, Dennis Leary, Bobby Kelly, Jim Norton. Jim Norton's a big name in that. Essentially the entire Boston scene that was going down and learning from the early 90s to now. When I mentioned Kevin Hart, when you mentioned Bill Burr, these are 2 of the biggest in the game, and if not best, and are certainly trying to solidify themselves in the history of comedy, forever. Well, all of these guys came up together. All of these guys learned together. And you're seeing now that this whole, I don't want to say comedy troupe, but these friends are the top of the fucking game. Outside of Louis C.K., who's about 10 years ahead of him. Dane Cook was even in this same, troupe. Like, Louis C.K. was about 10 years, Mark Maron about 10 years, Wanda Sykes, Amy Schumer as well. They brought, it was called cringe humor. And this East Coast type of humor is now kind of what comedy is being defined as now as the top of the game, outside of Louis C.K. and Ricky Gervais. So when you go outside of those 2, you start looking, and it's Boston comics. And comics will tell you that as well. So those are the comics that inspire me, and I really try to stay in tune to it, listen to it. I feel real fortunate in the sketch comedy way is I came up in living color.
Yeah.
So I remember being in like 6th grade watching Jim Carrey trying to mimic his face in the mirror because he's doing all that crazy shit. I didn't get to watch Saturday Night Live too much. My parents didn't allow it. I was a Christian kid, and Saturday Night Live was on way too late, and the material was considered too adult themed. So In Living Color was really like the first sketch comedy, and I appreciate it, man. Sketch comedy live still provides that live element, which means you still have chances to fuck up, but in turn be glorified up a little bit too. I mean, you can make an impression. All of the Wayans brothers, Jim Carrey, Jennifer Lopez, Marlon Wayans, Tommy Davidson, Jamie Foxx won a fucking Academy Award for playing Ray. Like, In Living Color is a bunch of bad motherfuckers, but at the time, we're just laughing at Jim Carrey being Fire Marshal Bill. We're laughing at a Wayans brother be Homie the Clown. And all of that shit to me was hilarious. You know, and if you look at sketch comedy now, Saturday Night Live is a pinnacle of comedy. It really is. Like, if you get selected to be a part of that, Dave Attell came out of that, Sarah Silverman.
Yep.
Like, you can go down that list of who Lorne Michaels has polled and gone with. Yeah, man. Going back that far to sketch comedy, it's appreciated and loved still.